What's going on, everybody? B. Scott, I'm here with
GOD.
And on today's show, we got tight end ranks. Obviously, there's two tiers of tight ends. We're going to be talking about both tiers. So keep locked and loaded right here at the first four downs.
You already know. Drop the logo.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. B. Scott and GOD here, and we're going over the tight end ranks.
Yes, sir.
These are our ranks. Essentially, you got the top ones and everybody else, but these are the tight ends that you're going to be targeting ahead of the 2021 NFL season.
Yeah, going into the draft, as always, you know what I'm saying? There's always those top five guys, maybe top four. And you feel like, if you don't get one of these guys, your season is in doom. But I think it's a way of thinking about it. And as always, we got the strategy right here for you. You know where to plug.
Absolutely. So before we get to today's content, don't forget, like the video, subscribe, share, thumb bell, all that good stuff. Comment. Drop a comment. Let us know if there's a tight end we missed, we didn't talk about. Drop a comment. Let us know, and we'll get back to you. So we're gonna start at the top. It's pretty simple. Travis Kelce.
Period.
Travis Kelce, the obvious tight end number one, coming off a career year, career high in receptions, yards and touchdowns, over 100 catches, 1,400 yards, 11 touchdowns.
He's that guy.
Absolutely. I even wrote it down here. I said, don't be silly. Nothing to see here. Move along.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? He's the number one tight end. Set it and forget it. It doesn't matter. Now, a first-round pick in a 10-man or a 12-man, that's kind of a stretch in my opinion, but I still like Travis Kelce, especially this season, to absolutely dominate. 5 straight seasons, over 1,000 yards, 80-plus receptions, 5 straight years. Tight ends get better with age, like a little like fine wine. They just consistently stay good.
Yeah, especially a guy like Kelce. Look, drafting tight ends is one of the toughest things outside drafting IDPs. You know what I'm saying? You never really know unless you hit those first couple of guys. But it's a thing of where opportunity meets talent. And in this situation, obviously, Travis Kelce is the most talented tight end in his position. I mean, you look at what he does, and he has Tyreek Hill over the top to take the speed away behind, you know what I'm saying, the number one quarterback in the league, the face of the league, throwing him the football. He is the number one target on that team. And what makes him that beast is like he lines up everywhere. He lines up in the backfield. He also blocks, which is a lot to say about a lot of these top four guys.
Yep.
They all block too. So, the guy's a mauler. He catches this ball. And if you know what I'm saying, don't take Travis Kelce. I mean, what are you doing? That's the first tight end off the board, period. I mean, that's barbecue chicken, man.
Yeah, of course. And in my opinion, I think we talked even too much about him. He's the number one tight end. Set it and forget it.
Yeah.
George Kittle, our number 2 tight end. There could be a little argument here between him and Waller, but we got him here at the number 2 spot. Last season only played 8 games.
Yeah.
Still produced great numbers and honestly paced out in that season to have over 1,000 yards, 4 touchdowns. Injuries, that's the only thing that even hampers Kittle at all. I think that's the reason he's going behind Waller. I think he's more talented than Waller personally, especially he can block in the run game a lot better than Waller. He just does things for that team better. And he's an outstanding talent. And honestly, the number 1 target on his team, Brandon Ayuk, I get it. But Kittle, number 2 tight end.
Now, George Kittle, honestly, you know what I'm saying? He's probably the best tight end in the league. If you think of the tight end position, this is a guy who blocks and who has playmaking ability, bar none, anybody in the league. But when you have a battle axe in this kind of person, injuries do happen. He played 8 games last year, finished number 3 in fantasy points per game, 12.6. So, you know what I'm saying? He's going to get it done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We all know Kittle, like, just run through you, period.
Yeah.
And whatever DN you got right there, he going to run through him too. But looking ahead to the fantasy season, they do have the number 24 strength of schedule, but that's nothing to a guy like this. A lot of guys can't stop this guy.
Yeah.
Period. Kittle's just a monster. And you would be absolutely silly not to take a guy who has Jimmy Garoppolo and possibly a new quarterback in Trey Lance coming in town, you know what I'm saying, to be the check down there. It is what it is. Go get some Kittle, period, with the number 2 positional pick.
Darren Waller, our number 3 tight end. Honestly, had an outstanding season and still finished miles behind Travis Kelce. But 100 catches, over 1,100 yards, 9 touchdowns last year, career high. Coming to this season, Las Vegas Raiders. Nothing's really changed. They've added a few pieces at wide receiver, John Brown. You know what I mean? Kenyon Drake in the backfield. But there's one staple in this offense. It's Darren Waller. And you could probably predict another close to 100 catches and 1,000 yards here. You know what I mean? And the numbers are just going to be probably very similar. Back-to-back seasons over 1,000 yards for the Raiders here. So Waller's the number 3 guy.
Yeah, you're talking about the Las Vegas Raiders here. He is the only target in Las Vegas. You know what I mean? I don't know what that aerial thing that they're doing over there is, and they added another running back to the mix. So who knows? But I know Darren Waller should be fine in that position. You know what I'm saying? 9 targets last year, finished the number 2 tight end, 14.1 fantasy points per game in all 16 games last year. Yes, in camp he has come up with an ankle injury, but it's not expected to be that big of a deal season long. So, I mean, I really do like Waller. In a lot of mocks I've seen so far, Waller has been overtaking Kittle in ADP, actually. Yep. You know what I mean? So, obviously, the consensus is, like, go get him, period. You know what I'm saying? Everybody likes him.
Yeah, must draft Darren Waller at the tight end 3.
Who else is Derek Carr going to throw it to?
Mark Andrews, our tight end 4. And in my opinion, in a tier all alone.
Yeah, period.
In no man's land. He's below the elites, but he's above everybody else.
Yeah.
So that's why we got him in the number 4 spot. Last season, 58 receptions, I want to say, 700 yards, 7 touchdowns. Lamar Jackson kind of had a down year, and Mark Andrews still produced in 14 games. So coming into this season, you know he's still the number 1 target on his offense. He really is. All the receivers are battling injuries, and who knows, hopefully one of them is going to work out. We've already talked about that. But you know what's safe in this offense? It's Mark Andrews. And he catches touchdowns. 10 in 2019, 7 2020. He's got that 10 touchdown upside here. And now that you see that he's got 700 yards in his back pocket in this offense, he's going to finish right here at the top, just underneath the elites.
Yeah, now we get into that conversation where efficiency meets talent meets opportunity. This is like, he's elite in his own tier, like as you just said. You know what I mean? Last year, finished number 4 at the tight end position, 10.1 fantasy points per game in only 14 games. Behind that, it's like 50 yards receiving a game.
Yeah.
What's crazy about Mark Andrews is, like, you know, his snap share is 65%. That means on a team where they run the ball the most, you would think the tight end is blocking a lot of the times and being on the field a lot.
Yeah.
No, when he comes on the field, he's catching his ball and he's going to the end zone. This is what he does.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? This is what you look for in a guy outside of these top 3 guys, you know what I'm saying, who is very efficient. And, you know, you think about your fantasy team, week in, week out. You know what I'm saying? You're looking for your scores. And what's nerve-wracking is your tight end getting the ball passed to him and he drops the ball.
Yeah.
Or he does not, you know what I'm saying, does nothing with it. Mark Andrews does that. You know what I'm saying? And that's what solidifies him here in this top 4. It's easy.
Yeah. So Mark Andrews in a tier of his own, no man's land, our tight end 4.
Yeah.
TJ Hockenson, our tight end 5, rounds out our top 5 tight ends. After this, it's a big kind of cuddle puddle. Everyone's kind of in that same range.
Yeah,
so, coming off a great season, 101 targets, 67 receptions, 723 yards, 6 touchdowns. Now, coming to this season, huge expectations here. To take that actual leap into the top tier of tight ends, it shows in his ADP. This is what people are expecting. Now, new quarterback, new coach, new offense, essentially. We hope to see this improvement. And so this is why Hockenson is where he is.
Yeah, Hockenson, this is one of these things where, you know, yes, we're expecting him to be, you know, one of these elite kind of guys. And I get it. You know, he's in his 3rd year and expecting to break out this season. The thing that's drawing me away from it is, like, you know, in the 100 targets that he had last year, you know what I'm saying? I mean, he did finish 7 last year, 8.9 fantasy points per game in all 16 games. 6 targets, you know what I'm saying, a game. You know what I mean? But that's not really all that great if we're talking about, like, what Andrews is doing on his targets. You know what I mean? So, you know, and another thing about it is, like, this is tied to a team that scores really low points. So, you know what I mean? Albeit the offensive line is better. Maybe he doesn't have to do that work. DeAndre Swift is already dealing with what he's dealing with. The positive news is through camp, he's been Goff's number 1 target. So maybe they can do something really effective there. But, you know, that's the chance that you have to take on this top 5 tight end. Honestly, in my opinion, I would fade. And this is where that target share and what they do with this target share starts to come into play with the next guys that we got ranked.
Yeah, absolutely. It would take probably 150 targets for TJ Hockenson, in my opinion, to get to where you hope he is.
150 targets. That's what we were wondering if Stephon Diggs could do last year and finish as a top receiver.
Yeah.
Now you put that on a tight end, like I don't know. I think I would just wait.
Yeah, of course. Don't get me wrong. I understand drafting Hockenson with a little bit of upside, but man, his ADP is really high. Hopefully, he just falls in drafts and you can get him at a decent price. But he's obviously should be ranked right here probably to finish as a top 5 tight end. So the rest of the tight ends, we're really going to be looking at as a whole.
Yeah.
These are guys that are going to be being drafted, obviously outside of the top 5, where you see that huge dramatic drop-off from Hockenson to the next guy, at least on my list, Logan Thomas, who's being drafted in the 9th round compared to Hockenson in the 6th round. So
this is definitely that level of tight ends where you really got to look at the snap share, right, and what they do in the snap share. And I know snap share and all these things, air yards and everything, might confuse people, but I really want you to look at it as like you think about a game, and there's quarters of games and everything like that. So you think about a guy like Logan Thomas, right? Last year, 93% snap share. That means he's playing well into the 2-minute warning of the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he has opportunity every time they take the ball up into that point. You know what I'm saying? There's other guys on this list, like, that's in the 60s. That's like right after halftime, they'll be gone. You know what I'm saying? Like no more opportunity for them to actually produce. But go into it, looking at Logan Thomas, he should be on the field a lot. What do you got on him?
Yeah, of course. 110 targets last season. 3rd in the league ranked. Finished 670 yards, 6 touchdowns on 72 receptions. Honestly, the opportunities are going to be even better now that Ryan Fitzpatrick's under center. He should have some better quarterback play, only to boost his numbers. You saw last season, Ryan Fitzpatrick had a few games with Gesicki who produced pretty well.
Yeah.
So, and we'll get to him as well. But Logan Thomas, I think, is a guy that you're drafting right now, ADP at 93. You're talking 8th, 9th round, that I think could have the opportunity to finish inside the top 5 at tight ends. If you look at last season, he was the tight end number 6, and in half-point PPR scoring, he was only 1.5 fantasy points behind the tight end 4.
Yeah.
That's nothing. So at the end of the day, I think Logan Thomas has so much upside to finish inside the top 5 at tight ends, no problem.
Yeah, Logan Thomas is amazing. You know what I'm saying? If you follow this podcast at all, you know that I've been looking at Washington for a long time, and I call this with the similarities to a bad football team in the San Francisco 49ers who came out and won, the NFC and went to the Super Bowl the next year. What they did that with was a very strong defense and a monster at tight end that nobody really seen coming. He was a great playmaker. And I think Logan Thomas also fits this bill. Now, you look at what, they're doing. 93% snap share last year. He did start and be in the system offline a little bit, you know what I'm saying, in those slot formations. And the passing game really struggled last year under the multiple quarterbacks that they had.
Yeah.
Now they bring in Ryan Fitzpatrick and everything like that, but they also brought in a couple of receivers. So there is like some things there, like, is it going to be the same? But with his explosive ability, I think it is going to be the same. And the sky's the limit for this guy. They got the number 11 strength of schedule on the season, and we already seeing him catching these monster passes in preseason. I think he absolutely has a chance to fit inside this top 5 of fucking players.
Yeah, absolutely. Next guy, we're going to talk about Robert Tonyan. Coming off an outstanding efficient season. You're looking at a guy that could possibly be Mark Andrews, in my opinion. I mean, looking at the numbers, very similar.
Yeah, he had more touchdowns than incompletions.
Of course. So, 59 targets, 52 receptions.
Yeah.
11 touchdowns.
That's ridiculous.
Coming into this season, Aaron Rodgers is coming back. The offense is coming back. Now, Randall Cobb coming in the slot. Maybe that takes a little bit away, but I still see these touchdowns here for Tonyan. Probably, maybe not on the efficient number, but you're looking at a guy that came out of nowhere and caught 11 touchdowns.
And Devin Funchess is already gone for the season, so it is what it is.
Yeah. So, I'm telling you. Green Bay Packers, Robert Tonyan, a tight end that's being drafted right now, ADP 100.
Okay.
You know what I mean? In the 10th round. And guess what? Last year, he finished number 3 at the tight end position, number 5 in fantasy points per game. So, and he's being drafted in the 10th round.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Essentially. So, draft Robert Tonyan. This is a guy I'd be taking, in my opinion, over Hockenson. I'm passing on Hockenson. I'm taking Tonyan.
Period.
I'm taking Logan Thomas. Next guy we can talk about, just another guy, Dallas Goedert. Now, I get it. His ADP's been really fluctuating. And honestly, early on, it was really high. There's a lot of talks with Zach Ertz. It's starting to fall down. Now, I got no problem with Dallas Goedert. understandably, Zach Ertz is going to be on the field. They said he's looking great in camp. I know he still wants to be traded, but Dallas Goedert is a talented tight end, and if he can stay healthy and on the field, he's a dynamic playmaker.
I'm hoping that Zach Ertz gets traded before the season, and you know what I'm saying, if he does, then the value just skyrockets there. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. This guy is a playmaker since he's been in the league, and honestly, he's just been groomed for this top 10 finish.
Goedert last year in 11 games, honestly paced out to be the tight end 7, based on the stats that he produced, and that's with Carson Wentz in the offense.
Yeah,
you know. So I'm telling you, Jalen Hurts, he's looking great in the preseason. I do like Goedert as long as you can get him at a decent price. In my opinion, these are all tight ends you should be getting somewhere after the 8th round that I think you should be targeting, period, if you don't end up with these top 3 guys.
Yeah, and also, there's 2 other guys, you know what I'm saying, on the same team. The team spent a lot of money on them. You already seen them, like, get rid of Sony Michel. We know they're going to run the ball a lot, run a lot of 12 personnel. These guys had high snap shares in their offenses last year, and they're unbelievable playmakers. You look at the New England Patriots and what they do. I think it's a really bad assessment to say that Cam Newton was bad last year, because we know that wasn't a real Patriots team. You look at what they do with tight ends traditionally. You know what I'm saying? You go back to that 2011 season where they had Gronk and Hernandez. Gronk had a 94% snap share. Aaron Hernandez, 74% snap share. And they absolutely monstered on the season. So I think that, you know, late in drafts, these are guys that you should be looking for, because they're going to be heavily utilized. Looking at Kyle Pitts, Atlanta Falcons. There's tremendous upside here. We don't know because we haven't seen him. With the departure of Julio Jones, you know what I mean, there's a lot of targets to be had here. If we can get him to get wide receiver targets, the sky's the limit for this guy. You know what I'm saying? We seen Hayden Hurst finish in the top 10 of players last year, you know what I'm saying? Which wasn't really that great, you know what I'm saying? But a dynamic like Kyle Pitts, come on, man. If they can do anything that, like, you know, what they were doing with Logan Thomas last year with Pitts, it's going to be unbelievable. Yeah,
Kyle Pitts is a guy, honestly, there's just so many question marks around him. He's getting drafted in the middle rounds as the tight end 6, tight end 7. Could he finish in the top 5 at tight ends as a rookie? The only way I see it is if he's lining up at wide receiver probably 300 snaps. Yeah. You know, if he's getting those numbers, we know the dynamic 4.4 speed at that size. You know what I mean? He has the playmaking ability possibly if that happens. But we haven't seen it, like you said. Yeah. And so that's just a wait and see. Now, I got no problem if you want to take a chance on Pitts in the middle. If I took Pitts, I'd probably wrap around draft one of these guys also, just to be safe.
And to be honest with you, that's the only reason why he isn't ranked in the top 5, top 6 players, because the downside is he could be a rookie tight end.
Yeah, of course. And we know what rookie tight ends do. Yeah. Not much. So a couple other guys we're just going to throw out here. Mike Gesicki, coming off a pretty decent year, 700 yards, 6 touchdowns. Another option that's being drafted, 110, 116 ADP.
On a low snap share.
You know what I mean? So
with the number 2 strength schedule at the tight end position.
Yeah, and the wide receivers. Jalen Waller coming in as a rookie. Will Fuller, can he stay healthy?
Yeah.
Devontae Parker, can he play good or can he play, you know
if
what I mean?
Devontae Parker and Will Fuller pull a Devontae Parker and a Will Fuller, Gesicki could be the prime target in Miami.
Yeah, and we know he's dynamic, like gifted physically.
Yeah.
But struggled early on in his career like most tight ends do.
Yeah, and this is also his breakout year as well as Hockenson for the tight end position.
Yeah, and then Gronkowski. I'm going to throw this name out here. Right? They're talking about O.J. Howard just not ready, might not even make the team. Yeah, who knows? So Gronkowski is another name. Came on a little bit strong. Now, yes, they got tons of pass catchers, but he still had a pretty decent year and had some viable fantasy weeks. This is a guy you could draft, honestly, in your very last round of your drafts.
Yeah, the guy was a year removed from football. It is what it is. He wasn't in shape. Second half of the season, we started to see the Gronk that we know, and especially in the playoffs and the Super Bowl. So I think that momentum going into the season is absolutely great.
Yeah, of course. So obviously these were just tight ends that were thrown out there, late round guys that we think you should just be targeting, because if you don't get the top 3 or 4, well, take Mark Andrews, put him in there. Take Hockenson, put him in the bottom. And there you go. If you're not getting the top 4 tight ends, just look to be drafting one later in your drafts.
Yep.
So, for the first 4 downs, this is the tight end video. Don't forget, like the video, subscribe it, share, thumb bell, all the good stuff. Comment if you want to hear about a tight end we didn't mention. Just drop a comment. We'll talk to you about it. So, it's been B. Scott.
Godzilla the Great.
And we out.
Yeah.